Hey there, Alex Kidman here, and today I'm taking a look at this. It's another Motorola phone. I seem to have been doing a lot of these recently. This is the Motorola Edge 40, and as the name suggests, it's a successor to the Edge 30, which I rather liked last year. The Edge 40 is a sort of remix and upgrade and rethink of what the Edge 40 was. It's an interesting phone and quite a decent value one at that, although it does have a few drawbacks. Let's get into what some of those are. First of all, let's talk about the design. So at the front, you've got this 6.55-inch display that Motorola describes as an endless display. Now, that doesn't mean that it never stops. It just means that it's curved. And that kind of curved display, I think we were seeing those on phones like 3, 4, maybe a few more years ago than that, everywhere. They're a bit less common now, and they're very much an acquired taste. I don't mind the look of it, actually, but I do know some people who find that kind of curve off the side to be a bit problematic. They don't like it quite so much. It's a 2400 by 1080 resolution screen, reasonably sharp for this kind of price. But what actually impresses me, and what you don't see on a lot of Motorola phones specifically, is that this has full IP68 water resistance. So yeah, you could drop it into fresh water and it would survive. I'm not suggesting that anyone go out and drown phones. Don't go out and drown phones. Bad, naughty, do not do it. But theoretically, if this fell into fresh lab water, it would survive. If it got rained on, it should be fine. It's a fair bit tougher than you'll find in most other $699 phones, and that's a big plus. Flip the phone over and things get interesting. So here in Australia, we've actually only got two color choices. This is Viva Magenta and there's also Eclipse Black. Now, I do quite like this color. It is apparently the Pantone color of the year, if you cared. Is there a competition for this kind of thing? Do phones have to get into like swimsuits and go in talent competitions? I don't know. I don't know that too many people outside of Pantone care, but no, it's a nice looking color. It's certainly very, very striking. But the thing that struck me a bit more was the finish. So the finish in this is what they call vegan leather. And no, that doesn't mean it's made out of vegans. It means it's plastic, basically. It's textured plastic. But I have a bit of a problem with vegan leather. I don't like the feel of it. There's just something in the way that feels against my hand. It makes me a little bit trembly. And it's totally a sensory thing, and 100% it's a taste thing. Your tolerance may vary. You might find that you think that that's brilliant and wonderful, and you love it, and you love the fact that it's not actually leather, but it sort of looks like it. I do wonder what it's going to look like a couple of years down the track if you don't throw a case on it. But thankfully, I have not had to put up with a phone that I don't like the feel of the back of for all that long, because Motorola supplies a case with it. So in fact, pretty much all the time I've actually been testing this thing, it's had this simple clear plastic case on it. I am firmly in the camp that says every phone deserves its own case, and this is no exception. On the camera front, Motorola's done weird stuff with its higher-end Edge phones over the past couple of years. So, for example, the Edge 30, the phone that this one's replacing, had a 50-megapixel f1.8 primary, 50-megapixel ultra-wide, and 2-megapixel depth sensor at the back, along with 32-megapixel selfie camera at the front. So the Edge 40 is going to be an upgrade, right? Well, sort of. It's an odd one. What you get is a 50-megapixel f1.4 primary, so a little bit better in low light, but 13-megapixel ultra-wide, no depth sensor, and a 32-megapixel front-facing camera. That is an odd remix, and the reality here is that it delivers photos that are reasonable but not great. And here's the thing. Motorola's track record in smartphone cameras has long been one of what I would call adequate performance. Nothing that's really made me stand up and take attention, and the Edge 40 really doesn't change that any. Now, for a $699 phone, yeah, it's shooting okay here. I'll throw up some samples. But for this kind of money, equally, you could get something a little bit flashier, like a Pixel, for example, or even one of Samsung's prior gen Galaxy S phones, because they're starting to drop down to that kind of price point. Basically, this is not a bad camera phone, but it's certainly not an exceptional one either. In performance terms, it's another area where Motorola's done some slightly different thinking, because the Edge 30 was a Snapdragon 778 phone. This does not have a Qualcomm processor in it. Instead, they've opted for the MediaTek Dimensity 8020 with 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. Now, this is the first 8020 phone that I've tested. In fact, it's one of only a handful that actually exist right now, as far as my research shows me. Certainly the first one here in Australia. So I was keen to see how it performed at a CPU level, because The reality here is that MediaTek for the longest time was kind of the cheaper option. You found it on slightly cheaper phones. You found it on phones where people were trying to cut costs more than build in performance. And at $699, that's mid-range, but you're still spending a fair amount of money and you should get reasonable performance. And the reality is that you do. Now, my full text review is up on my site, and you can go there if you want to see how it performs for things like Geekbench and 3D Mark and so on. Now, it's not quite up there with things like the Pixel 7a or an iPhone SE. I wouldn't really expect it to be. But for basic Android performance, it's perfectly fine. It does pretty well. It runs fairly nicely. And it's got Motorola's classic take on Android mostly. It does want to install the Booking.com app, and I really wish it wouldn't. Stop that, Motorola. Everyone stop that, please. I don't like pre-installed apps, and maybe your taste varies. Let me know in the comments below. But other than the usual Moto actions, so, I can shake it really fast to fire up the light, or if you twist it a couple of times, the camera will come on, that kind of stuff. Other than that, it's fairly clean Android, and I really do appreciate that. I think it's actually a really, really good step. Now, one of the things about this phone is that it's thin, which is, great when you're showing it off to your friends. It looks nice. But thin phones, of course, don't quite have as much space for batteries. And this is a bit of a challenge for the Edge 40 because for so many of Motorola's phones, in fact, for so many Android phones right now, what you actually get is a 5,000 milliamp hour battery pack. This only has a 4,400 milliamp hour battery pack. And that led me to wonder how well it would actually perform in battery terms. Now, all of this stuff is quite relative because it totally depends on how you use the phone, how heavily you're hitting networks, gaming, all of this good stuff can totally kill a battery really, really fast. There's no phone out there that I can't kill inside a day, and I'm sure you're the same. So I ran this through my standard YouTube battery test, which is basically a 1080p video for an hour from a full charged battery, just to see how it compares to other phones in its class, in its price range. And in that hour, it managed to eat through 6% of its battery. Now, it's not a bad rating, but it's certainly not the best in its class. Other phones that I've seen have eaten up as little as 3% in the same test. So this is a kind of could try harder. It's not bad. And look, day-to-day usage, generally I've been finishing the day out with kind of like 20-30% left most days. It's been okay. It could do a little better, but it's perfectly fine. One area where I really was impressed with the Edge 40 in power terms was when it came to charging. So plenty of phones these days don't come with a charger in the box. This does, and not only does it come with a charger in the box, but it's a 68-watt charger, so it can actually charge this thing up really fast. Now, it does get pretty warm when you do that, but really fast via USB-C. One of the other things that impressed me in charging terms with this phone is that it's got wireless charging. And you just don't see that with too many mid-range phones. I mean, if I throw a wireless charger in here, you'll be able to see it. You should be able to see it fire up. Yep, there we go. That's wireless charging. Slightly out of shot, but I think you get the idea. And yeah, look, that works well enough. It's only 15 watts. It's not super fast or anything, but it's certainly better than not having it all, and lots of phones in this price bracket don't. So should you buy one? Well, look, I think this is a really strong competitor for Motorola at this price point. It's still not the absolute best value at this time. I would put that at the Pixel 7a. That's still my number one pick at this price point. But this is pretty close. And actually, if you like that styling, if you like that vegan leather, if you want a thinner phone, then this might actually be a better buy for you. It's certainly a really, really solid competitor in an area where Motorola has traditionally competed quite well. Anyway, that's my take on the Motorola Edge 40. What do you think? What do you want to know? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe.